All right, welcome back to the channel. Canelo Alvarez numbers drop dramatically in his fight against Sergey Kovalev. And when I say dramatically, I mean dramatically, more dramatically than the articles that you'll read will let on. Let's look at the numbers in depth in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And also, thank you so much to the Patreon community and the live stream community. Please make sure to attend OG Boxing Talk Sunday mornings with executive producer Blood Boxing, my man KQKC Boxing, co-hosts Trap House Boxing, and my man Curtis Anderson, the boxing historian. Great conversations. All right, Canelo Alvarez, there's an article that came out in Boxing Scene. You can see it for yourself. I read it. And as with all things written by media, I went and checked the numbers myself. I did my own analysis. And let me tell you, man, there's a huge drop in a very important metric for Canelo Alvarez, and that is attendance. Now, when the article came out, and I'm telling you, you got to read numbers. You got to read this stuff carefully and think about this stuff thoroughly when you're dealing with numbers, when you're dealing with metrics, right? You have different measurements of success and different numbers mean different things, okay? And you look at them in a whole, and then you come up with an idea about what you think it means. One person can come up and have an idea about what it means for them and make an argument to support it. Somebody else can have something else. So I'm going to give you my impressions of the numbers that came out from the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and it's this. Canelo Alvarez's performance was the worst performance that he's had in the United States of America since Alfredo Gomez back, I do believe, in 2011. For one of the most important statistics that you have as far as the reach of a fighter. Canelo Alvarez, these are the numbers that came out, did on roughly 10,000 ticket sales in the MGM Grand. 10,000, I think it was 10,005 is the number that was released by Boxing Scene. I couldn't validate it against the Nevada State Athletic Commission site because it's not up there yet. And it did $8.1 million out of the gate, right? So if you look at the last performance he had in Vegas, it was against Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs, they did $8.7 million in revenue. And that means the difference between what he did with Daniel Jacobs in revenue was $500,000, right? $500,000 difference in revenue. It's lower, but it's about 5% difference. Okay. Doesn't look like it looks like those are, that's a big drop from, the fight with Floyd. Obviously, Floyd Mayweather Jr., you wouldn't expect it to repeat the numbers from Floyd Mayweather Jr. You wouldn't expect it to repeat the numbers from Gennady Golovkin 1 or Gennady Golovkin 2 because that was a bigger fight, right? That's a 50% drop in revenue from the $24 and the $20 million for Gennady Golovkin, but it's not a biggest fight. But where I'm saying that the dramatic drop in is in the actual attendance. 10,000 people roughly paid for tickets for Canelo Alvarez, Sergey Kovalev. The fight against Daniel Jacobs, 15,700 people were paid to go to that fight. And those are paid. Those are the numbers that are issued by Nevada State Athletic Commission on their list of gates. I looked at the attendance. That difference is a 36.4, I do believe, 36.4% drop in attendance. Now, when you have a 36% drop in attendance, but you only have a 5% drop in revenue, what does that tell you? It tells you that the tickets were more expensive for Sergey Kovalev and that the people the people at the lower end of those ticket sales bought less of them. 5,700 less tickets were sold, but the revenue was only a 5% difference. But what we're looking at here, though, is this is the lowest attendance for a fight for Canelo Alvarez in the United States since, I believe, Alfonso Gomez, because I could not find the numbers for Alfonso Gomez when they fought back in 2011. Every other fight, even if it did slightly less revenue than this Canelo Alvarez fight, did significantly better attendance. That is telling you that people are not willing, even though you put a higher price tag on Canelo because he is what? He's supposed to be the face of boxing. People did not want to buy at that higher price. The same people that were going to buy the ticket at $205 were like, man, for $300 for this, no, thank you. But that isn't just, that is huge drop in attendance. You wouldn't think that almost 40% fewer people would be willing to pay a slightly higher price to go to the fight. Now, you add that along that, you add the actual people that were able to watch the fight that were actually able to see the fight. This fight was on DAZN. One problem is on DAZN, so you know no more than 400,000 people saw this fight on DAZN. No more. And I'm not talking about illegal streams. So if you come to the site come to the page talking about, well, what about the illegal streams? Every fight has illegal streams. They all do. The question is, who is willing to actually pay to watch the fight, and what numbers can you actually quantify? Deontay Wilder has illegal streams. Anthony Joshua has illegal streams. Illegal streams are everywhere. YouTube videos are everywhere. I'm not talking about that. We're talking about the people that are actually willing to pay their money. So you have a situation for Canelo Alvarez where his numbers drop by 40%. His attendance dropped by more than that for the Gennady Golovkin fights, and the ticket prices were more expensive for the Gennady Golovkin fights. In the case of the Gennady Golovkin fights, you had, I think the attendance were somewhere around 17,000 or something like that. 17,000 people were in attendance for that fight, but yet and the ticket prices were higher, but yet they weren't willing to pay. They're willing to pay for that. More people are willing to pay more money for Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin than they're willing to pay for Canelo Alvarez versus Sergey Kovalev. And I'm telling you, this is what I believe the issue is. That Canelo Alvarez is falling off. That there is a lot of people and I get this because I'm in the comment section of my own videos. I have a lot of people telling me what they think about that fight. There's a fan base that did not come out and support Canelo Alvarez for that fight. And that is his standard. That is his standard fan base. The same people that would have went, the same of the 50,000 people that saw him fight in Houston. I do believe against James, was it against James Kirkland? Where he was in Houston and he did like 33,000 people in attendance, or Amir Khan when he was in Vegas and he did like 17,000 people were in attendance. Even Ezra Lara. So the numbers that they used in this thing about in the boxing scene article where they said, see how far he's come along. It was $2 million gate against Erislandy Lara, but now he's doing $8 million gates against Sergey Kovalev. Man, that was when Canelo Alvarez was virtually unknown, and still 14,000 people showed up to the Erislandy Lara fight. This is 4,000 people less paid to see Kovalev than paid to see Erislandy Lara and Canelo. Man, this is not a good trend for Canelo Alvarez as far as his claim to be the most popular guy in boxing. Now, as far as his money and how much money he's making, it doesn't make a difference to Canelo because he's got guaranteed money according to reports. So Canelo's making big money. The sanction fees, the WBC and these guys are making big money. But as far as the interest that Canelo Alvarez helps generate in the sport of boxing amongst fight fans, it's a decline. Because at the end of the night, I've said this many times on many videos. You can talk about how much money is generated for a fight. That's a function of how many of what the people that are actually interested in him are willing to pay, right? So you have 100 fans, you might have some 100 really avid fans that are willing to pay anything to see you. But people aren't so hot on you, aren't willing to pay that amount of money. So even though you have fewer people there, your revenue can adjust for it because you can milk the people that are really into you, that are really into that fighter. But when you're talking about growing the sport of boxing, which people fake like they want to do, or talk about what the reach of a fighter is and how many true boxing fans are into that or want to see that guy or woman perform, you have to look at the attendance. You got to look at the eyes on the fight. And Canelo Alvarez, the number of people that are watching Canelo Alvarez that are actually interested in Canelo Alvarez and willing to pay something to watch Canelo Alvarez has dramatically dropped since he went to DAZN. And I don't think it's just DAZN. I also think it's the type of people that he's fighting because he just fought a fight that nobody asked for, that I don't know anybody that was asking for. Rocky Fielding was a fight that nobody was asking for. They announced an attendance of 20,000 or something in Madison Square Garden, but I can't validate those numbers. Those they aren't out really like the Nevada ones are out. But anyway, this is not just about money for Canelo Alvarez. This is about people that are interested in the sport of boxing and are actually willing to pay, the number of people that are actually willing to pay to see him fight. And that is shrinking dramatically. Anyway, you let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.